Hello, and I am here with my better half, Diane Diamond. I'm Dennis Neal, and we're going to bring on a guest now here to talk about Hillary's new book, Hard Choices. And when the heck will she finally announce that all but inevitable run for president? We've got Christopher Hahn. He is host of his own radio show, The Christopher Hahn Show. He's a former senior aide to Senator Charles Schumer. Thanks for being with us, Christopher. Good to see you. And tell me, are you at all worried at some point that Hillary loses momentum because she's waiting way too long to come out and say the obvious?
I think, the longer she waits, the better. Let's face it. I mean, the minute she becomes a candidate, she's got a huge target on her back, even bigger than the one she has right now. So I think she's playing it cool. She'll do the book tour this year, and then sometime in January, she'll make her big announcement.
Now, tonight is the big ABC interview with Diane Sawyer and Hillary Clinton. I was interested to see that the very first interview she gave about this new book was with People magazine. Why do you think that was?
A nice, soft, non-political People magazine, try to reach new audiences. I think, look, it's all about demographics, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. But
with the Monica Lewinsky story, she kind of was talking to the media again for the first time in many years. When that all came out, my first thought was, this is Hillary's enemies doing this. But then I wondered whether this was Hillary's handlers doing this to get the Monica thing out of the way. Which bet do you take?
I take that it was Monica saying, hey, why is Ron Paul talking about me? So maybe I should go out there and say my own story. I mean, Ron Paul is the one who brought her back into the spotlight with his interview on Meet the Press and some other things that him and his wife have been saying about Monica Lewinsky's being considered if Hillary decides to run. I mean, that scandal should have nothing to do with Hillary.
okay, so you're Hillary Clinton. You are going to probably announce early next year. That was a tease bite I saw with Diane Sawyer, the ABC interview tonight. She's probably going to announce early next year. What do you do with would she still be pregnant, daughter, Chelsea? Do you bring her out on the campaign trail for you so you look like soft and warm and fuzzy?
I don't think that Hillary plans on using her grandchild as a prop, if that's what you're saying. But remember, the election's not till 20.
Is what I was saying.
The election's not till 2016, so I think that there's plenty of time between now and then for her to have the baby. And I don't know if my math is a little different than yours. I think that baby's due in February, so I mean maybe she waits till then.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Overall, how much do you think Hillary's people are worried about what the Obama administration will leave them with in terms of politically? It looks like the Obama administration has been having its share of troubles in recent months.
Yeah, look, they're having their share of troubles, but there's one thing that we could depend on in American politics is that the Republicans will overreach if they indeed take the Senate in the midterms this year. So they'll be overreaching. They might even try to impeach it, and all that's going to do is make the Democratic brand stronger, and that'll play right into Hillary's plans.
Yeah, but you're kind of dodging the question, I think, that Dennis was asking. Benghazi, the prisoner swap. Aren't these things that could come back to bite her?
No, because nobody other than far-right conservatives care about Benghazi. The prisoner swap, I think that military families will all tell you that, if their child was taken prisoner, they'd want the government to do everything they can. And in fact, even Mitch McConnell said in a letter back in March, he wanted the president of the United States to do all he could.
See, you're doing that child thing again, okay? Everyone's saying if your child was abducted, this guy's a grown man. He was in the military. He is not a child. What is this child thing? Why did President Obama do that?
I don't know if you have kids, but when
I have a 14-year-old daughter.
Well, yeah, and when your 14-year-old daughter is 28, she's still going to be your child.
No, she's not a child, though.
And Bo Bergdahl is Bob Bergdahl's child. And I think what the conservatives in this country have been doing to Bo Bergdahl and Bob Bergdahl the last couple of days is despicable, and I think it's going to come back to bite them.
Do you think that the discomfort and the reaction against this prisoner swap is really only conservative? You don't think that across the political spectrum, people are upset that we swapped 5 top-rated terrorists for one guy who's suspected of deserting? You think that's only conservative Republican?
Dennis, these guys that were at Guantanamo Bay, they're not the X-Men. They're not going to come out with superpowers and rejoin the fight. They've been rotting in a prison for 13 years. How integral could they be to the fight?
Well, they were top strategists then.
Over.
Just because they've gotten older doesn't mean they've lost their mental ability.
They were top strategists then. They might hack into my AOL account now. Who knows?
I think you're being a little disingenuous there.
I am
but
not being disingenuous.
listen,
I'm
not
telling you right
one
now that
person
they're
I have
probably
talked to
there.
thought that Bo Bergdahl should have been left there. Nobody thought that he should be abandoned. Everybody believes you don't leave anyone behind. You bring them back to America. Where the
Right.
split is that if he was a deserter, then he damn well should go before a court-martial or a military tribunal. But so your argument
I
is
agree with
specious.
that. I'm an American, and I believe in justice, and I believe people are innocent until proven guilty. And if there's some sort of crime that he committed, which we don't know, we don't know the evidence, we weren't there, then that'll be. But I think the conservative talking points last week was that this guy was an evil wrongdoer and it needed to be stopped. So,
yeah, but the liberal talking point this week is that Bo Bergdahl was a child, was a kid. I mean, that's what the president was saying.
The terrorists have been defanged.
He was somebody's child.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm a mother,
he's
and I
a grown
understand
soldier,
that.
you know.
If I'm a parent of a military, we always talk about what is the president doing? How's that going to impact the troops? Well, what is the conservative movement talking points that we should have probably left this guy there?
No,
because
nobody's
he was a
saying
deserter. Well, because somebody accused him of deserting. He's not a
Nobody's
deserter.
saying
Somebody accused him of deserting. He should be treated differently. How does that affect the morale of the troops?
Yeah, Chris, do you ever worry though that this deal has now basically said that the ongoing conversion rate is kidnap one American soldier for 5 prisoners traded in? Do you worry that will be repeated?
The Israelis traded 1,000 Palestinians for one Israeli soldier. We value life in America. We put life above all else. I would have traded the entire base at Guantanamo for an American troop. I think we should shut it down anyway, or we should try and charge and try these people there.
We should have shut it down.
I believe in America. I believe in justice. I believe that you are innocent till proven guilty. I believe that you have a right to be charged, and you have a right to address those charges in a court of law, even if you're not an American. So, we're either going to charge these guys and set them free, or what are we going to do with them? Are we going to warehouse them for the rest of their lives?
We have another guest coming up, Chris, who argues that the real motive of the Obama administration was not really to bring Bo Bergdahl home, that they didn't care about him, but this was a good step, getting rid of these 5 big guys, those prisoners, a good step toward trying to close Guantanamo, that was the real motive. What do you think of that?
I think that's ridiculous.
You just said that you basically would have traded 10,000 Guantanamo for one one American. I mean, that kind of says you want to close Gitmo.
I want to close Gitmo right now. I think one of the things I fault this president for, where we depart, is on his handling of Gitmo. He promised he'd close it. He should have closed it in 2009.
Yeah,
listen, it is a travesty.
I am going to completely agree with you. And the bigger travesty is that there are people there laying on boards being force-fed because they're still on a hunger strike. It is unconscionable that we have done that to fellow human beings. I completely agree with you. But the big problem is we never knew what to call them. Were they enemy combatants? Were they terrorists that should be tried in civil court? Then Congress came in and passed laws that they can't be tried in civil courts. So everybody in Washington is at fault about this.
I don't know why Congress is afraid of the American justice system. I'm not. In fact, I think that's why we go to war, to protect our liberties and to protect our system of justice, which I think is the best in the world and the best in the history of the world. I trust it. And if these people committed crimes, they will go to jail.
What do you think is going to happen to them?
Free.
What's going to happen to the remaining prisoners at Gitmo?
I think they're going to be a political football for at least 6 more years. And that's a shame. As an American, as a believer in liberty, as a believer in justice, I find that a travesty.
Yeah.
All right, where else should we take this, Chris? We've got a few more minutes. What else should we talk about? Where are you on the VA scandal, which of course you would guess, Chris, that I see as a fantastic example of why government needs to privatize more services and sell off those VA hospitals to hospital chains. They never would have let this kind of crisis emerge where you're keeping all your customers waiting and then you're lying about it.
Well, I don't know what hospitals you go to, but there's also all sorts of delays in getting appointments in hospitals and healthcare systems around this country and under private insurance. That said, I think that, look, a full investigation needs to be made here, and people need to be held accountable. This is not a problem that's one administration, but but it's definitely
That's right.
coming more to light under this administration, and this president needs to do everything he can to root out this problem and solve it. Look, the president raised the budget of the VA substantially during his tenure, but that's not what the problem is here. The problem
That's
is here
right.
there's a disconnect between both the VA and the Department of Defense computing systems, which is leading to some of these delays, and there's also old world treatments, and they're not ready and equipped to treat the new injuries coming home from these wars. And we also have to remember next time we go to war that the cost of war includes the cost of supporting our veterans when they return home from the fight. I think that no one made that calculation when we decided to go to war ever. Not just in Afghanistan and Africa. Since the revolution, this has been a problem.
But isn't the problem here a lack of enough doctors willing to work? Doctors willing to work at government set prices for the VA, and the lack of doctors led to the longer. Just kind of had the free market in there, and a doctor could earn as much as he wanted, but maybe more doctors would be willing to work in the VA. Doctors would be willing to work in the VA.
No, that's a red herring argument. I think that, quite frankly, that we should care everywhere, and that doctors should be set, get a set fee, and there should not be a profit margin in this thing like this.
Dude, how could you call for more national health care single payer when we just have all veterans going to a single provider? It ends up being disastrous.
If it was all single payer, then we just walk in and we get our health care. The problem is we've got all these little systems around this country.
But government is bad at delivering health care, Chris. Don't we see that in the VA?
Government's not bad at delivering health care.
Oh,
You've been to Canada?
come on. How about, is government good at giving you the DMV where you go and get your driver's license?
Actually, the New York DMV in the last 10 years has become much more efficient.
Well, we're talking to the whole country.
The exception that proves the whole theory.
I do all my transactions online, and it's wonderful.
I live upstate a little bit, about 25 miles, and I go to the Haverstraw DMV, and you have to wait about 2 hours, no matter what day, what time of day. Forget it. That to me is look at the post office. I mean, shall I go on? So now you want to have the government take care of all of the health care?
Next time you need to renew your registration, do it online. Okay, it works.
Online's pretty good. I mean, that's been one limiting factor in delivering medicine, is that doctors themselves are terribly averse to technology and innovation. And while Obamacare was sold as a way of doing things far more efficiently, I don't think we've actually yet seen that happen, have we? The efficiency
unless you're one of the 8.5 million Americans who now have health care that didn't have it.
And most of them came in through Medicaid, that already existed. We didn't even need to pass Obamacare to do that,
Well,
Chris.
we should look. I was for Medicare for all and Medicaid for all. You were against it, Dennis. We had this debate like 5 years ago, you and I.
Yes, we did.
I mean, it is what it is. This is what we got. What we got was the conservative health care plan. We got the Heritage Foundation plan. Of course, the conservatives were for it before they were against it.
But there's a reason.
Like everything else, they were for bringing Bo Bergdahl back before they were against it.
But Chris, there's a reason that over half of the new drugs created every single year are created in America. It's because we are a for-profit system. We are the most unregulated pricing-wise system in the world, and that is why the innovation occurs here. When you give people a profit motive and something to aim for, they end up innovating more, right? Give us an answer in 15 seconds. I got to cut.
I'm not against innovation through capitalism. I am against people being gouged for health care. And we've got to find a balance to that, Dennis. I think you would agree.
All right. Thanks so much for being with us today. Christopher Hahn, nice job.
Thank you.
Great to see you again.
Guys.
Talk to you. We'll see you soon. Thanks very much. And up next, we have former U.S. Navy SEAL and author of No Guts, No Glory, Steve Robinson. Wait to hear what he has to say about President Obama. He doesn't say it lightly. We'll be right back.